they always rush in understanding demand enide, what is the future or what is the demand of this topic or any skill. But more than demand, need is very important. So what is very important is need. Now what is the core deep difference between demand and need? Andre, demand is something that goes up and might come down. Okay, it's a graph which is not stagnant. But need is something which is essential. So andre everything you need it for any point of time. For example, you might be preparing tea, you might be preparing coffee, you might be preparing juice. All these three things, and consider you started a tea business, I started a coffee business, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಯಾರೋ ಅಲೋಕ್ ಅನ್ನೋರು ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಮೂರೂ ಜನ have to buy one thing in common, that is sugar. So all these three people should buy something, one thing very for sure. One is you might be willing, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಟೀ ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಕಾಫಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಮೂರು ಜನ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇರೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಮೂರು ಜನರಿಗೂ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾಮನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇ ನೀಡ್ ಶುಗರ್, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಗ್ರೀಡಿಯೆಂಟ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 2-3 ಮೇಜರ್ ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್. ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸ್, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗುಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅನಿಸಿರ್ಬೋದು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, HR ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಐ ಅಗ್ರಿ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್. But without sugar, I mean without sales, without marketing, without understanding finance, it's very hard to think of business. So yavaglu when you start learning some skill, always go with what is the need of the hour rather than just focusing on demand. I agree that knowing demand or makes a lot of sense, but at the same time knowing the need right now, what is the need of market, what is that one thing that people might be in need of and why people will buy that particular thing. That is why you need to understand that today need plays a vital role in the world of demand. Let me continue with the next thought. So after knowing the concept of demand, after knowing the concept of understanding the concept of need, it's always essential for any business to sell a product. It's always an essential thing for any company to promote a product. Hence, you need to know that marketing, sales, advertising and branding are the key essence of any business. Today, more than research, reach is important. Today, people will buy your product. People will think of purchasing your product only if the products are visible to them. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಬೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಟು ದೆಮ್, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್. ಸೊ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಟನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬೋಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ that MBAS is greater than MBBS. In the sense, marketing, advertising, branding and sales are the most important things today than being even a doctor today wants to be promoted. Even a chartered accountant, even a finance guy, a lawyer are basically trying to promote their businesses, promote and reach out to more number of people. Why it is happening is, see, before let's take an year to understand this. See, before 1991, Indian market was basically called as, if I look it into two aspects here, Indian market was basically called as closed market. Okay, Indian market was basically called as closed market. But after 1991, Indian market was basically an open market. In the sense, people in 1991, if they wanted to buy a car, okay, 1991, if they wanted to buy a car, they hardly had Maruti, Tata, Ford, Ambassador, like very few options. In the sense, market didn't have more options. Okay, people didn't have more options, very less options. Like people had very less options. But when market opened up, what happened is suddenly people actually had more number of options. In the sense, like options were absolutely very high after 1991. After 1991 ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ market had more opportunities, more possibilities. So assume that we both wanted to buy car before 1991, we had hardly 3 to 4 options. But today, if we want to buy car, assume that me, Pooja, Mutarna, Gautam, all of 5 of us want to buy car, Only under Tata there are 10 different options. Only under Maruti there are 10, 15 different options. Only under Ford there might be having options. MG, Kia. So just imagine the number of options that has been opening up, the number of options for you. So you have options. When you have more options, that leads to the most important segment. I mean, the moment you have more options in market, automatically you have more confusion. In the sense, the moment you have more options, you have more choice. Basically, the more choice, the more you have confused. And what can reduce confusion? I mean, how do you solve the problem of confusion? People will, after a hell lot of confusion, they will think of buying something that they feel it's trustworthy, or they feel acha bahut trust. I mean, you can trust that. So those products which can increase their trust. Now, how do you get trust? You get trust only when you listen to it, when you see it more, and when you see it and when you listen from others, automatically the trust will increase. And to increase the trust, the best and the super way is to take your product or service to more number of people. And that's the reason why Indian market, when it was open market, people started spending more money in market. People started spending money a lot in digital, people started spending money in advertising, branding, marketing, and sales. Because when you are only one guy in the city, you can just tell that I'm there in market. But if you have multiple similar players in the market, you have to tell how different you are from others. What is that one thing that you see it is different? So that's where you actually make it, actually you can take it at a big level. So hence, learning marketing, advertising, branding, and sales, it is not about you like it or not. It's not about you need it or not. It's a matter of essentialism today. It's a matter of the need of the hour for any business would be always these subjects. Learning advertising, marketing, learning branding, and all these things are the most important thing. That's where you have to and you must. It would be as a freelancer, or it might be as a job seeker, or it might be as a business owner, or a willing to be an entrepreneur in the future. One skill that makes you smart, one skill that makes you amazed is your marketing, advertising, and branding skills, and that's what is always important. Now let me go to the next level of option. Let me go to the depth of understanding. How do we look at marketing as a thing? How do we look at marketing as a core agenda or core element? Is what do we define as marketing? And what do we think about advertising? What do we think about branding? What do we think about sales? Without understanding these 4 points, without understanding these 4 thought process, it's damn hard to actually understand the topic, or it's very hard to actually know a topic. So how do we define what is marketing? So marketing is basically a strategy, or basically a planning. Okay, this is where the marketing job does. So marketing is something where we strategize, where we plan, where we think about, how do I promote a product, how do I sell something, how do I reach out to more number of people. That is basically marketing. So in marketing, we continuously focus on strategizing things. We focus on planning stuff, we focus on reaching out to more number of people. That's continuously a strategy. For example, if I have to sell diabetic product, it's an Ayurvedic diabetic product, I will think who could be my customers, where they are active, which platform they might be spending their most of the time, what kind of content they might be consuming, what would be the best method to reach out to my right target customers, and what time I have to reach them, where should I reach them, should I think of digital marketing, should I think of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Quora, newspaper, TV, radio, what is that one thing that I have to think about. So that's where you play around lot of strategy to take your product to right people. That is where your strategy comes into picture. And what do we call it as advertising? So it's basically a job of telling with a story, where you work on emotions, where where you think how I could tell about my product or service with a very interesting manner so that people could actually listen to it. That's what advertising do. That's what the main job of advertising is all about. So you try to, you are basically trying to understand that how do you, tell a story, how do you explain people. Iga washing powder Nirma advertisement came long ago, but people still remember what is washing powder Nirma. So people still remember what is, this particular concept. So it's very important that what is that one thing that you tell to people about through which story, so that people could remember it. That is your advertising for point. And then what is branding? Brand is a feel. Brand is basically an emotion. So brand is basically an emotion which tells people that how do you feel. But there are two types of branding. One is visual branding and non-visual branding. In the sense, visual branding comes with logo, the color, the design and all these things. Now what is non-visual branding is basically how you feel. Like when you hold an iPhone, how do you feel? When you wear an iWatch, how do you feel? When you are using some specific device or something, then what is that feel that you have? That is basically called as branding. And then comes a concept of sales. Sales is basically transaction. Like if you are able to do a transaction between two people, that is your sales. Like will you buy a product, or will you be able to sell or buy something? That is basically called as your transaction. That is your sales. So before anybody thinks of any subject, it is super important to have categorically an idea about the core definition about what is marketing, the core definition about what is advertising, the core definition about what is branding, the core definition about what is sales. So to put it in a simple nutshell, assume that a gentleman want to promote his gym, and what he did is he started conducting free Zumba classes or trainings in a park where people came to that Zumba, and parkig bandorella they used to do Zumba, and it is absolutely free from this particular park, in the park and from this gym. So assume that he hired 5 people in 5 different parks, and all 5 are practicing Zumba, and they are also teaching physical fitness and all these things to people. And they created a nice storyboard, and they started teaching, and they started explaining about fitness, and they started making people practice different moves. So that is basically marketing. So you are putting strategy to approach right people who can be a customer or who might be a customer, and you are targeting those 2 people in the right place, that is Zumba place, that's true especially in park. That is your marketing, that is your planning. Now what you're doing there in advertising is, assume that the design that you have created, basically you have made a poster telling people that hey, we can help you to reduce your tummy. So basically there is an image where you have made people where a person is reducing his weight, or he has very much obese guy, tumba hotte ide, and he is eating pizza, and you have placed that photo, and just you have written one word called think wisely, that what you really want to be. So there is next standee where is very good fit guy. So now there is one more banner where you have kept a guy who has got lot of tummy and his heart is not strong. So obesity can also cause a problem with your heart. So now what you're doing is you're telling the serious thing with a very good clip arts, and you're making people to realize how it is important. So that's advertising. Now what is branding is, so the logo that you've made and all those things is your physical branding. At the same time, how you are making how you are making those people to feel about it. That's called your branding, like the emotions that you are putting out to people. That's your feel. And then sales is happening. So now the branding is here where you're making them like for free of cost. You're teaching Zumba and fitness and all other moves for free for a month, and people will feel nice for it. So that's they feel nice about it. That's the emotions that you're able to pull out. And because of that, assume with all this marketing, advertising and branding, people would love to buy a product, and there is a transaction between the gym owner and the customer. That's basically sales. Now tell me, any business for that matter, any business will and must use this method of approach. They will think of this particular practice to promote promote a product or service to more number of people. That's what every business So whenever anybody asks me what kind of subject I have to study, right now I call it as multi-potentialism subject. What is multi-potent or multi-potential subject is, you learn sales, you learn marketing, you learn advertising, you learn branding. It is making you multi-potential. The moment you are multi-potential, the meaning of multi-potential is you are good in so many things. You can also strategize, you can also create a story, you can also build a brand, you can also sell products. Tell me which company tells you no for it, right? So who can dare to tell that, hey, I don't want to think about your product or service? And that's where the core, sense comes into picture, that you are trying to promote a product or service, and trying to reach out to more number of people. And this is what you need to scale and to start for any market, or to start to any, to promote any business. So marketing, advertising, branding, and sales are not just the need, not just demand, it's about need. It's the root essential of any business growth. So that's the reason why whenever you think of any skill, please go with need analysis. And in today's market, these four are beyond demand, and these subjects will never have a demand or need crisis. Every single business need this particular thing. So everybody need these four core pillar of a business.